Yeah.
Student campus life. Treasurer. E-board is in there.
Okay, the meeting will now commence at 6:06 p.m. First order of business, the first order of business. I will do this. Student trustee Ha.
Present.
President Almendras.
Present.
Vice President Fernandez.
Present.
Chief of Staff Coutinho. Treasurer Basta.
Present.
Staff Designer Al-Rahmahi.
Present.
Web Administrator Suarez.
Present.
Director Gumu. Present. Director Chidari.
Present.
Director Murtaza.
Present. Yeah, she knows me.
Director Alvarez. Director Celestino. Representative Yusuf.
Present.
Representative Omar. Representative Ahmad Omar. Representative Beltran.
Here.
Representative Mata.
Here.
Representative Ahmed.
No.
Representative Cruz. Representative Paragraph. Representative Castle. Representative Cody Castle. Representative Hegel Karpinski. Representative David Karpinski. Representative Hazelli. Senator Sharma. Senator Giron.
Present.
Senator Erlbacher. Senator Golan. Senator Cordova. Senator Dixon.
Present.
Representative Wojtyla.
Present.
Senator Hannah. Senator Lopez.
Yeah.
Representative.
Oh, yeah, she is now.
Present.
Senator Tobias. Dasgupta. Senator Slaughter. Present. Representative Safar. Excuse me. Representative Al-Kashi. Senator Buda Al-Saadi. Senator Kadir. Senator Ali. Senator Jang.
Present.
Flores. Representative Rio Rajenskia.
Present and well, thank you.
Representative Lee. Present. Representative Patel. Yeah.
Present.
Representative Alagwa. Okay. Thank you. Being in a couple of minutes, please take the time to read over the minutes. Any discussion? If not, the minutes will stand as approved. The next order of business is reading and approval of the agenda. Please take the time to read over the agenda. Are there any corrections to the agenda? Yes, Anthony? Go ahead.
I'd like to add discussion.
There's been a motion to add the judicial branch as an item for discussion. Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, the motion is passed. Are there any other changes to the agenda? Yes? There's been a motion to add resolution 2023 S 1025 to the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the motion carries. Are there any other changes to the agenda? Yes?
Yeah, I'd like to motion to add resolution 2023 as 2006.
3006? There's been a motion to add resolution 2023 S 3006 to the agenda. Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, the motion carries. Are there any other changes to the agenda?
I motion to amend the agenda to add an item for discussion regarding textbook affordability.
There's been a motion to add textbook affordability as an item for discussion. Is there a second?
I second
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
that. Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, the motion is passed. Are there any other changes to the agenda? Okay, I motion to add resolution 2023 S 5010 to the agenda. Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, the motion is passed. Please take some time to send all relevant documents, if you amended to the agenda in the email chain, so that we all have access to it. Those questions as well. And make sure if you have a resolution, you've added it to the resolution chat. The next order of business is public comments. Is there any public comments? If not, we'll move on to the next order of business, which is guest speakers. If we have no guest speakers, we'll move on to the next order of business, which is old business. Our first resolution for consideration is resolution 2023 S 104001. President Almendras, could you please read this for us?
So whereas this academic year, the undergraduate student government expanded its advocacy abilities by establishing the USG Commission Act 2022, which establishes and defines the USG Commission. And whereas since the passing of the USG Commission Act 2022, USG has established two commissions: the Mental Health Commission, MHC, and the Campus Safety Commission, CSC. And whereas the Mental Health Commission, the Campus Safety Commission have been very successful in advocacy, service, and work in gratitude to its leadership. And whereas commissioners undertake similar responsibility, both administrative and advocacy-like, to that of executive officers, and let it be resolved that commissioners shall be classified as non-voting members of the undergraduate student government. Let it be further resolved that commissioners shall be issued a leadership stipend of $700 for spring 2023. Let it be further resolved that USG shall allocate $1,400 for the stipends of the two aforementioned USG commissioners. Let it be further resolved that this shall be enacted immediately after passing, that the Treasury Committee shall make necessary budget changes in order to accommodate the current two spring 2023 USG commissioners.
Thank you. I will now open the floor for questions. Reminder, we will be voting on this tonight. Representative Slaughter.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the resolution.
Sure, go ahead and make your motion.
So can I motion to amend $700 to $1,000 as well as $1,400 to $2,000.
Motion to amend $700 to $1,000 and $1,400 to $2,000. Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Anyone abstain? Not the motion is passed. All right, are there any questions, comments, or amendments for this?
Question.
Yes, go ahead.
Very quickly, I know we discussed this last week, so is everybody resolved on the fact that, like, do you agree that they will be non-voting members? Otherwise,
Yeah, again, the idea is that commissioners are a separate role than that, representatives.
so this wasn't necessarily targeted at you, it was more so at the representatives, just because, like, I'm okay with it either way, but I also want representatives to feel comfortable voicing, their opinion. Because obviously, like, if you wrote the bill, I would think that you stand for it. Okay. But,
Right.
yeah,
Of course, I mean, commissioners will, of course, always have, equal say in any matters relating to the undergraduate student government. However, I think it's best, moving forward that, each person holds just one, title here in USG. For example, if you're a representative or you were married, can also hold commissioner, title, so that's a change that will occur.
again, I think when we discussed this last week, I'm just trying to make sure that everybody feels at peace. And it seems like everybody.
Oh, yes, Representative.
Just quick questions, if people are getting stipends, wouldn't there have to be like an amendment to the bylaws as well? And so, say right here that officers do get stipends, so there has to be a bylaw.
Right, that's when we put in, clause that they'll be considered, non-voting members, there's already, in the bylaws, a whole section dedicated to.
Are there any other questions? Yes, Lauren?
I believe that should be a separate resolution, defining, titles and positions, because, the changes will be, done, throughout each member, regardless whether you're a representative or.
Yes, Diana?
I have a quick clarifying question. I know that, like, representatives in joint positions. So when the process is happening where commissioners are being chosen, are they gonna have to go through the same process that representatives go through, or do they have to representative first and then relinquish their responsibility?
Right, yeah, so, in the original, resolution, USG Commission Act of 2022, states that, anyone can be a part of the commission, USG member or not. That's the whole idea behind these commissions, to allow, students who are not, in USG to, have a little partial say, how things go, in their community. And so, yes, non-USG members can, become commissioners. In addition, I'll follow the same procedures as outlined, last semester.
Felix?
I wanted to ask, I know what was that about, but resolution of the break that, in the, is it managing break or that,
Right, yeah, there's a lot of, changes that, will be brought forward, whether it's this semester or next semester, or even over the summer, summer sessions are a thing, like that or not. That's, changes that we have to be very intentional about.
Are there any other questions or comments regarding this resolution? Not we'll move forward to voting. All those in favor of adopting resolution 2023 please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain?
Abstain.
If not, then resolution 2023 is passed. We'll now move on to our next order of business, which is new business. First, we have resolution 2023 which was amended to the agenda. Please find it attached to the packet email. Representative Dia, please read this for us. Someone has a mic.
Resolution 2023-11-1025, Disability Inclusion and Awareness Event. Chief sponsor Representative Dia Sharma and co-sponsor Diversity and Inclusion Committee Chair Manasi Tunu. Whereas the undergraduate student government finds it significant to create awareness for minority groups on campus and represent the disability community. And whereas the purpose of the event is to give student organizations focused on advocacy and awareness for minority groups an opportunity to be represented and for students to gain insight into different communities on campus and to increase inclusivity in our student body. And whereas this can be accomplished by collaborating with other student organizations such as MHDA, Mental Health and Disability Alliance, CHD UIC, the Disability and Human Development Department, Gender, Women, and Sexuality Center, and whereas the Diversity Inclusion Committee will be hosting a disability inclusion and awareness event, which will involve an open discussion session where student organizations will be able to share their concerns, experiences, and brainstorm ideas to increase inclusivity on campus, and a guest speaker from the DHT department will be invited to provide insight. And whereas the event will be held on April 26, 2023, from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. at SDE, room to be determined, then let it be resolved that this event will give an opportunity to students and student organizations to meet and share ideas and concerns. Let it be further resolved that this event will allow student organizations to focus on fostering inclusion for the upcoming school year and planning joint initiatives. Let it be further resolved that USG will allocate a maximum of $200 for the event, and any unspent funds shall be returned to the USG budget. And the budget breakdown is listed below.
Thank you. Now for questions and comments, we will be voting on this next. Representative Melody.
So I see that you guys contacted departments at UIC. I was wondering if you also contacted the DCC, the Disabilities Cultural Center?
No, I haven't contacted them, but that could be a department that I can contact to invite.
I highly recommend reaching out to them because this is also kind of like what they're also there for. So I think that they should definitely be included in an event like this. Because like, you know, they want to be able to make space for students with disabilities, and like, they have been also, you know, trying to make sure, like, they've been doing a couple surveys, mapping projects in terms of like bathroom accessibility, which I think is also really cool and very much needed. So yeah, I just think that it would be great to also.
Yeah, I'll include them in the email list and reach out to them.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments?
I do. How is this event gonna look like specifically? Like, is it gonna be like more of like a group thing or like one-on-one conversation? It's gonna be more of a group thing, so, we're inviting all these like different organizations that focus on, inclusion, for like the disability community on campus. So, we've invited all these organizations, and based on who's coming from the organization, we're gonna be having like an open table session. So it's gonna be a group thing. We're gonna talk about certain topics and ideas like the quad renovation, bathroom accessibility, and then we've also invited a speaker from the DHD department to kind of give some insight. So basically, organizations can share like their concerns and issues that they want to raise. So it's gonna go as an open discussion.
Representative Song.
One more question, since people with disabilities technically counted as a hard to reach population, How are you exactly advertising or incentivizing people to come or making sure that students are there?
I think, we're gonna be promoting it like on the USG social media, and then also like, I'm gonna add like the other organizations that we've invited to promote it, but I think regarding the fact, like, asking students to come, I think advertising and promotion, but then also, because it is an open table session and it allows like students to bring in their concerns, I think like that's something that will kind of like inspire them to come, so that's our hope for the event. But if we don't see a lot of turnout, then these organizations are there to represent, the students and the community, so we're hoping that having like the organizations come and representatives from the organizations come, that is also like something that would be sufficient, but I would hope that there's a big turnout.
This is a recommendation. I think we should read your chocolate, there's one that, what is all of. And I, and also how many, finally.
Yeah, I'll,
That's valid.
I think there's a follow-up, to kind of like Sadie's point, especially like knowing low income students typically have limited access to healthcare, and so they might know they have this disability, but not have that. And so that doesn't negate the fact that the person knows it's really help. So are those kinds of students welcome, and like how are you planning to reach those kinds of descriptions?
yes, the students are, also welcome, and regarding reaching those populations, like the, like reaching out to student services, I think like really, focusing on this event would be like promotion throughout campus, like making it campus wide. It is an open discussion session, so it's not just limited to these organizations. And then another hope that, I do have is because we are inviting all these organizations and trying to promote it through the DHD department as well, that a lot of students do show up, like, even students like who are in DHD majors or minors, and this is like their field of study, they have a lot of insight as well, based on like UAC specific issues. So I'm hoping that word of mouth and like focusing on promotion and advertising, is going to help reach those students as well. And then that's like one issue that we could bring up at the open discussion session about, how could we make it, like, how can we increase accessibility, for students who go undiagnosed?
Are there any other questions or comments about our business? If not, we will be voting on this next. Next, we have resolution 2023-S11-76, which is also amended to the agenda. President Matthew, would you please read this for us?
Of course, thank you. So whereas the world is becoming increasingly reliant on technology, a shift seen significantly in education, and whereas students often forget their charges before coming to campus for their classes or meetings, leaving them to find friends or classmates to find chargers, and whereas SCE Building Management supports the USG Power Sharing Program and will help implement this program. Then let it be resolved that undergraduate student government shall establish a USG Power Sharing Program for students to borrow chargers. Let it be further resolved, this program shall be managed by SCE Building Management. Let it be further resolved, the undergraduate student government shall allocate 1,500 to purchase the following. Here it's itemized. Let it be further resolved that the USG Power Sharing Program shall follow the outline protocols in the resources tab. Let it be further resolved that USG shall allocate 1,500 to purchase the needed items for the USG Power Sharing Program. Let it be further resolved that any unspent funds shall return to the budget.
Thank you. I will now open for discussion. Are there any questions, comments, or amendments? Yes.
Before we start discussion, just some quick amendments. I would like to motion to remove second to last, let it be further resolved, which states the USG shall allocate 1,500 to purchase the needed items for the USG scholarship program that's already outlined, clause, before.
There's been a motion to remove the second to last letter of the resolved clause. This resolution is there.
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye. All those speaking nay. Is anyone in favor? If not, the motion is passed. Any further amendments?
And then, just one, last amendment, just to be a little bit nitpicky. On the first levy resolve, it's a unfinished clause here. I believe it says, that the undergrad student government shall establish the USG power share program for students to borrow. I'd like to complete that sentence to read that the undergraduate student government shall establish the USG power share program for students to borrow chargers. Then,
There's been a motion to add, charters, and, sorry, change the first letter of resolve clause to say, let it be resolved that the undergraduate student government shall establish the USG power share program for students to borrow charters. Semi-public vote then.
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? Not, the motion is passed. I'm actually also going to make an amendment, I'm wishing to amend the title of the resolution to say resolution 2023 S 11/2000.
I believe it should be 7.
I see that there's a seven.
But yeah, then we can change it. That's the correct code here.
Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the amendment has passed. Are there any questions or comments for this? Yes, Monty.
I know from the library, like I've personally borrowed chargers, there's so like, so much know that, like, charger lending is like. So I'm wondering like why this was considered for the library.
Right, yeah, no, this is definitely influenced by, the library, their program there. However, I think it should be offered at both, buildings. Of course, you can still bring the chargers, wherever, you want. But, in addition, this adds more, charges that students can borrow. So, that's where the difference is.
Yes, Ron?
So as a follow-up for chairperson, these question. I see that administrative burden is placed on the building manager. Has there been conversation about how they're gonna make sure the participants don't take the charges or that they're returning action?
Yeah, so in our conversation, my 2 conversations with, Charles Farrell and, representatives that helped, create this program. And it's outlined, the program details and protocol document. Let me know if you're unable to open that, but, so basically, a student will, provide their ID card in exchange for it. So that's, hopefully that will, prevent students from just like accidentally taking or straight up just.
And I requested action.
Oh, okay.
Commissioner Ross?
So we purchase these items, they get delivered to the students' office over the summer. Then what? How do they get tested? What's the plan there?
You say how will we give it to, building management?
Yeah, like how does it get started?
I will, provide to Charles, who will then, well, he and I will oversee, it'd be, you'll put in, maybe a shelf in the little building management office.
Yes, Veronica?
So just, along from that, too, I think it's a great idea, since like, I know we have this in February, but then also students that are on campus, and sometimes they, full day delivery deadlines, and, yeah. basically that's great.
Yes, Sadie?
Also, wondering, I don't know if this is good, but like portable chargers for like laptops, I feel like an issue because it's not enough power. It's like a lot of times, like I have my charger, but like looking around here, like I wouldn't be able to charge my laptop. So I don't know if you'd be able to like look into if there's something we could do to like help that with like the outlet situation instead of just like having the charger.
Yeah, absolutely. That's, a huge conversation with, again, Charles Barrow about, increasing outlet access. Not just here in SE, but in other buildings. We just have to find like a way to do it because, we can try to purchase, these extendable, charging cables, but the problem with that, it creates like these really long lines. And somewhere, let's just say inner circle, that would probably be, saving us on a trip on it. Something also, if we want to create more outlets, that's going to be a lot of infrastructure changes in the building. So I mean, it's still, ongoing like thoughts about it. So we're gonna have to find like a kind of nice sweet spot how we can, implement more, outlets.
Yeah. But maybe something we could do, instead of doing outlets is portable chargers, like maybe increasing the amount of magnet. And number of like portable chargers. So that students who aren't just travel elsewhere and outlets, aren't, they're able to use those portable chargers alongside the chargers.
Yeah, no, I like, you guys thinking on this, about a year ago, last academic year, I know that there's a, like this device thing that we're trying to implement, it didn't get too far because, there's a lot of questions about it. It was also around this time that we're introducing it. But basically what it was, like, it looked like a honeycomb where you can walk into this wall of portable chargers. That's free for students, you can just grab it and you'll charge your device, and then when you're done with it, put it back and it'll actually recharge. That's what, you can mount these walls all across campus, so you can take it from one place and return it to a different place. However, it's very expensive, also we're very worried about, how we can, make sure students don't accidentally take this stuff. I know this is from a third-party company, I'm sure they had a way, but at the time, it's just, we didn't have enough time, but this is definitely a reserve fund type of idea that we can implement. And I can share the website details about it and see if, we would like to pick that up.
Are there any other questions? Yes, Monica?
It's not like questions for like comments on like the outlet, the queues, we can attach them into the wall. Like, if that's possible, like, so we have like a man or then we divide into different outlets and can attach it. Also, the school board.
Yeah, thank you, for
Are there any other questions or comments on this? We'll be voting on it next. Yes, Steve?
Sorry, not to go back to the outlet, I understand, like, we got one for a while, but I am just looking through Amazon, and there's like these, like, power banks that supposedly, like, you can use them for magnet cell, I think that, right now, this is $59.99, but I think it would be good to, like, look into them, and also, they are more expensive than everything on the list, but if we could allocate some, like, some of them at least, I feel like some students would like that.
Yeah, for sure, actually, that was actually a part of this original, package of items we wanted to purchase. It was only removed because I felt like more students would probably want to take a portable charger, they might be like, okay, I'll just take the missing ID, take this charger for me. But yeah, definitely if, everyone agrees with, adding these, the portable charger that, you found, we can definitely amend that, this will be voted on next week, so we have a week to discuss that and, bring that up to Charles Brown, building management, to let them know that this will also be part of that.
Sorry, Representative Patel?
So, thanks since you're on top of computers or computers, for example, not all computers have the same charger, mine has like 135. I was thinking this is a very the charger my computer uses is like very common for a lot of Lenovo laptops. And I've seen a lot of Lenovo laptops on campus, so. Thinking it is possible for us to consider buying a couple of those chargers as well. Because those chargers are, they're used often. That's what I'm saying.
Right, that was,
Not a lot.
that was a big consideration when we were drafting this program. I just, definitely we can add that to the list of, items that we can buy. If you want to follow up with me on that, this week, on, what type of charges these are, we can definitely try to amend that in there. But, the only reason why we chose USB-C and, lightning cables is because these are most common type of, charging cables that the buses use.
Thanks.
Treasurer Watson?
Representative Sadie, I'm just curious, are the charging ports that you look up, is it like you plug it into the wall and then, I actually have a picture, I don't know if you can see it from there, but is it like a little stand thing that you plug in the wall, and you wheel it around, and plug other things into it?
So we have to charge them first, so I don't know if you have them on
Right. Yeah, because actually the treasury committee was talking about these sort of chargers. We were thinking we could purchase these and put them in various spots like the library, the student centers, areas where we could just plug it into the wall and it creates 4 more outlets or 8 more outlets. So, I mean, if you all think that might be a good idea, that's absolutely something we should look into. We actually have an item for discussion about this later today, so keep that in mind for now.
Yes.
So can you,
For lending the chargers to students, they exchange their ID and then they get a charger. Just to, I guess, highlight how it works in the library. They actually attach the charger here that you rent out to your account. So if you don't return it, you have to pay for it essentially. So if they manage it in a similar way, I'd imagine it kind of and so that would incentivize a lot of
right, yeah, because how the library does it is that, it's similar to renting out a book. So that's why they have that system. Unfortunately, that system is only found, I believe, in the library. But, what we could do is also inquire about that in the future, but, how can we also implement this program on their computers there? Also, they probably would need a swiper thing as well there. Yeah, and that's why, we're asking for an ID card because, that program that the library has is only there in their system.
Sorry, just to clarify again, it's not this is a technicality, I guess, but it's IT services that does it, but they're just stationed in the so I imagine you could probably ask them if a staff member could do a similar sort of thing in this as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'll send an email to IT services to loop them in because the extent of this conversation was just with Charles Barrow, building management. I can work with seeing how we can do that because I think that would definitely be better.
Right, since we are voting on this next week, I will be limiting discussion for a couple more comments. If you have any other thoughts, please reach out to Matthew. Are there any final comments for resolution? No, we will be voting on this next week. Next, we have resolution 2023 X11/5010. Also amended to the agenda, please find it. Whereas USG traditionally orders a plaque with the names and titles of all USG members at the end of each academic academic year. And whereas USG finds it important to commemorate and honor each USG bond, then let it be resolved that USG shall allocate up to $150 for the purchase and shipment of a plaque for the 2022-2023 academic year. And let it be further resolved that the plaque shall be kept in the USG office alongside the rest of USG. Picture of what it might look like, and I will work with the stuff. And then questions about it, spelling.
This isn't relevant for this pursuit. Like I'm supporting the plaque. However, what do we do when we run out of?
I imagine we could get a cabinet or something to put older ones, and then like as we get new ones. the entire, We haven't run into that problem yet, so. Yes, Felix?
We're going to do, whoever's going to be here in the future, and going to that problem, I feel like maybe the space in SC, take up some of the wall there. I know that there's a space allocated for the academic or the activity on the society. So I think it'd be cool to show the students, who's part of the student government and that lists. So that might be a conversation. That's all.
Yep.
Seven?
Yeah, no, I love that idea. Unfortunately, we're missing some plaques. There's some missing years on that wall, multiple years. Yeah, I believe, some people were, raiding the office and took it. I'm not sure why they took those particular years, I think. 2020 is a missing year, so I guess. I saw it before, I just don't know where it is now. But, if we can recover those, plaques, those missing years, lost history, then I think we should definitely look towards putting them on the walls.
I will say a lot of the plaques also don't match each other, which is unfortunate. But from here on out, we're trying to use the same vendor and format so that. Melody?
What if you put an ear tag?
I think that might be controversial because we have to purchase some air tags. Which could get expensive. So such.
Nobody steal the plaque.
What if you steal the plaque?
I said nobody steal.
Oh, yeah. please.
What is the vendor? I see it says Amazon on here, but,
Oh, yes, so it's, edcode.com. I can send it. I'll send it to you. All the advertising for this platform. Any other questions or comments? We will be moving next. If not, then we move on to the next order of business, which is items for discussion. First item for discussion is the remaining budget projects, which offset or has the
Sure. Start this discussion. I did put a document in the group meeting where everyone and anyone can just write down ideas that they may have. But basically, the situation is that we have before this meeting, we had around 13K spent, but now I think after some allocations, this meeting might be a little bit under 10K. And so we just wanted to take this time to discuss what things we can buy for to spend the rest of this remaining budget. So you can see some ideas are listed here, and I want to start a discussion like what other ideas we can put in here, what ideas we can move, and then how this will work. Is that this week we'll take a look at this, draft resolutions. We'll add a section where members can jot down their name, stating that they would like to help out with it or look at be a part of the resolution. We'll add in the sponsorships and such. But that's how we'll go. But first, let's talk about, how we can spend this money. Melody and.
Um, so I think if there are no other ideas, as a last resort kind of, it might be a good idea to just kind of have like a hangout with USG event for the end of the year. Because we do have money to get food, and people love food. So even if we could be, I would say definitely a more public. 302, because I think we are kind of hitting away in the pocket in a sense. Like if we could get something in the inner circle or like on one of the terraces, especially like with the nicer weather going out, I think it's a good publicity event, to like make sure that we're visible to students. It can have students thinking about, wanting to join the following semester, because they would remember that as like, like what happened, like I got your food at this event. So, and I think it would be an easy way to kind of just like have conversation with the student body. But just like, I think if we can frame it more as a casual event, so it doesn't seem like it's like, oh, you only have to come if you want to talk about an issue. Like they can absolutely come to talk about an issue. But I think the draw would be the free. So that people can kind of like come and be like, hey, is this food free? And they need to start a conversation.
Right, no, I like the idea. I jotted down our document here. Thank you. Sounds good. That Felix.
Yeah, really like that idea, so it'd be really cool if we had it on the quad. The thing that I had to ask about was about the office modernization. I know that either it was last semester or maybe this semester, past regarding funding for office supplies. And so I was wondering if those funds have been used and if like this is part of that or separate from that.
Yeah, so that's a question for me. This semester, we have not utilized any of those funds, and I've actually returned that allocation back to the budget, because I think at this point of the year, it's a little too late for us to purchase the office supplies we were initially planning on getting. And also, that was only about $500, and a few of these things in the office modernization idea are well over that cost. So I mean, just to put things in perspective for all of you, I'd say about half the chairs in the USG office are broken. That's something we can think about, getting new chairs. Another idea that we've been floating around is like a monitor for the second floor where we currently have whiteboards. We think that a monitor there might be a really good use of the space. We can put members who are not able to make it in person on there via Zoom. We can also use it as for every single purpose that we use the whiteboard. And it just has many more functions, and it's gonna be around for the next 5, 10, 15 years. So that's another idea that we've got.
Thank you. Before I respond to that Felix and Lauren and I'll speak.
I have. Three months.
Sorry, no, I was just saying Kemby has that in him.
Thoughts?
I have a separate idea for this initial discussion topic. We're going to kind of move in that for office. We need scissors. We don't own the small thing, scissors. We don't own the state. So that's a big problem. Because I find myself like scouring the whole entire student center suite for scissors and tape. We need to buy that. I don't know if that's what we do now, but one of the ideas I had, and I'm not sure if we've already done this, what kind of recognition from members who are graduating? Did we place an order for the graduation goals? Yeah. Okay.
Just to address the vendor concerns, one of our upcoming events, we had to order 10 pairs of scissors. So since we ordered those before the event, they're USG property, they will be returned to the office. And there you go.
Okay, some of the things that me and my committee talked about were more like on a big scale kind of thing. We talked about scholarships for international students, since they pay a lot more in tuition than people do in state. We were thinking reaching out to maybe like a department or something that can kind of fund these scholarships. Whether it be merit-based or financial need, or like whether it be like in a specific college. So I think that's a good thing to look at, but another thing we kind of talked about were like donating to campus housing, which I know we've done before. May I ask, like, do you know what those funds were used for?
Are you referring to the emergency housing? Yeah, so, that was, an initiative brought up by, former President Hassan Kumar. And, I believe we allocated $50,000, for emergency housing during the pandemic. And this was an allocation done because, we had $50,000 left in that budget, and that administration was trying to figure out where we can allocate this. And the story of like where and when exactly is very clouded. We know it did go to emergency housing, but it didn't follow like exactly what we wanted in the outline resolution, but it did go to emergency housing. How it was implemented, again, we never got clear. So.
So I saw my dog, their medical products. Previously, he was last week, not that I'm able to use commercial recyclability. We're both very passionate about working on this. Previously, in 2021, there was a budget passed by the government, collaborating with what was Code Red, with the local organizations that are about his function, the woman's reference that also pretty much care, like tampons and pads, however, they're not like regularly upkeep, so that's like where. However, the resolution that I just shared with everybody, you'll find that it says that, it's like $15,000 allocated by the chancellor at the time, the trace machines, and it was supposed to be our responsibility to upkeep those with $1,600 for upkeep machines. So I don't know where that was in the budget this year, if we did that, or if the budget was there. So that should be something. Those are maybe still want to do the topic discussion. We just might have her tips on this to ensure that they're the ones who are upkeeping these.
Yeah, I remember that was introduced. That was introduced by former Vice President Hannah Schmidt, who also started up the Mental Health Commission. With that, I remember I was a part of that meeting with former Chancellor Emeritus. I remember Vice President Ahmad was inquiring about it, and then Chancellor Emeritus said that his office has obviously it's not here anymore. Also by state law, I believe colleges should be offering this in every bathroom. We might have to double check on that. Last I was looking, I believe it became a public act, that resolution. But the upkeep shouldn't be from us. It should be from the university. And $1,600 is not enough to. I don't believe it's enough to suffice for like an entire academic year. So I mean we can inquire about it, but in the time being, I'm not sure how well they're okay. First, you do the machines. Do they have undergraduate student?
No, the resolution that you guys actually the secret put on there, it shows the probably provided by the British government with the logo, the blood logo, the logo. But they're no longer, I mean, those school and Russian guidelines that exist there, so we can definitely benefit from if we're gonna continue to upkeep.
Yep.
No, I'm just, we've been in contact with, Bloodlines, and they're also not sure if they put on this basis over the past year, I'm not sure. But again, it's.
Yeah, no, definitely. Let's follow up on this. Again, to my knowledge, it should have been upkeep by the administration, not by USG. I'll do some research in like that piece of legislation that mandate colleges or higher education institutions to provide these for free, to students. And yeah, we'll follow up with this, resolution with them. We can include you in those conversations as well.
Any other comments? Yes, Sadie?
And one of the things that policy, like, managed by the laptops, and probably they're not that expensive. But to be able to give to students, I know that that's an issue, a lot of students have current laptops. And a lot of school neighborhood is on my computer, like I'm barely using my notebook. So we could help file that amount of students, like, I don't think it's the next year, but to make sure that they have like a laptop or a tablet. And we have to just make sure that they are going to use them. So like if I saw something that said free laptops, if they want a free laptop, but I don't need it, but there are students who like are in need of that, are like having to that rent them from like tomorrow, that aren't really helping me. So I think that would be also.
So actually Treasurer Quinn and I were talking about this the other day as something to use the reserve funds for, since the federal funding got canceled for the computer rental program. And I was talking about how important it is for a student to have a computer accessible to them. So I think that's definitely an initiative to work on next year. I totally agree with you. So that's for sure something USG should get behind, because students are in need. Like you said, you do your schoolwork on it, they need a computer. I know kids in my classes who, once the program stops, they don't have a computer and can only go to computer labs at school. So I think that this program is necessary to continue and would be an important usage of funds.
I think Kennedy brought this up in terms of the emergency housing. I think if some accountability was implemented there, that it would be great to try to redo that and talking about the reserve funds. I know that my sophomore year, I did an internship with Young Invincibles. Another at the time, student government representative, like she actually presented like her policy idea on student housing, how many students face homelessness at USC, and it's a lot. And so I feel like we have the funds to be able to provide for housing security to students who could really use it, because obviously that does impact your grades, impacts like your whole life. I know myself, I work with somebody now who's faced housing insecurity her whole time at UIC. She talked to federal legislators about it, and she's been just a trailblazer. But I think it's definitely something that we can do something about. I think even that same representative at the time also mentioned that I don't know if this is still true to this day, but at the time, or even before, she was using old data. So like my freshman year, for instance, there were so many unused campus housing, even though so many students needed actual rooms. Now, I don't know if this is still true, probably data, but yeah, she basically mentioned that it was just for the fact that students either couldn't afford it, know that they were there, et cetera. So I think that would be really good for us to try to implement.
Any other comments, questions? Yes, Debbie?
We can't donate to building management or anything to make renovations, right? Because there's specific funds for that. So what if, say, we donated to campus housing and then made a suggestion on what they can renovate, within their area of jurisdiction, would that still count? Or if we donated it to a certain building and made a suggestion with that?
So just to go back to the 2020 Constitution report for a second, the reason that donation was able to go through was because it was an emergency donation fund that was set up due to the onset effects of the pandemic. It was there for a couple of different reasons. One, not only to secure students for facing an emergency financial crisis, but also to make sure that all of the operating costs, housing were taken care of. This year, with the pandemic sort of behind us, it may be a little bit more complicated, but we can engage in those conversations to see how donation might even look like, if it's even set up, if the system's even set up to take donations in the first place. So, that would require more conversations with interim director of housing, Keith Ellis.
I will say, campus housing has been historically reluctant to make, renovations to older buildings like Campus West. So it's not hard, because if you have plans to, like, knock everything down and replace them with newer buildings, like Brooks here in USG, I try to get them to like fix the showers, and, oh, we don't want to spend any money.
Cause some of these structures are actually kind of like, I don't wanna say this word, but like life threatening, cause we had a student come up to us today during our tabling event, said that the sprinkler system was so bad that some pipes burst in their building, and it caused a lot of damage. So I was just wondering if there's something that we can do with that, because that is a part of campus safety, so just a suggestion.
Yeah, I think we could think about that more as a USG project rather than a donation and having them do it. Like, I wish Representative David was here right now, because he's actually thinking about a lot of like infrastructure related things that we can do. And this is something that we could consider using the reserve funds for as well, because it's obviously gonna take a larger sum of money, but we're looking at the possibility of making like infrastructure changes on campus if it's like a USG project. That's kind of my own interpretation.
Yes, I also did know there are certain proposals that like, if you're looking at this from a landlord tenant situation, that landlords have like obligation to uphold for their tenants in terms of safety conditions. So I feel like this should be something that we can take an active approach and connect to this to like full services here about. Because that does sound dangerous. And I feel like they deserve to know all of their options. They gave their presentation here, and I feel like we should definitely try to connect.
Just to close the conversation here on the budget allocation, the rest of the budget this year, I just want to gauge your guys' interest in this, like, because we're gonna have to bring forth these resolutions next week. We're running out of time here, and obviously anything that we do is gonna have to be implemented over summer. So keep that in mind, but like, I just want to gauge you guys' interest. Like, are you all comfortable with office modernization, improving the office, or like another supplies initiative for like the beginning of next year? We purchased a number of like notebooks, pens, pencils, various like inexpensive items to just give away to the students in the beginning of next year, so we can hit the ground running. So don't have to waste time ordering it, pass the resolution. So I just want to make sure that you all are comfortable with this. Any objections to anything that's on this list? We'd love to work with you all on this, and this needs to be done. Like, we need to be following up with this next week.
So I know there's some left over. So I don't know. For multiple aspects, I know during the those USG members who went to lobby day didn't have any identify themselves and because but I think that might be beneficial to look into add to this.
Thank you. And also, I think that kind of goes along with another idea, kind of talking directly to the PAC here. What do you all think about the current flyer? I mean, the current, I know in the office we have like standable USG, like representation things that they used to use. Now I think they're pretty beat up. Like, what do you all think about getting new like banners or posters to represent USG?
I think that's a really good idea, and we can definitely look into that. It also thinks.
Yeah, no, we definitely need new banners.
Some of
It
us.
came to my board shop quite a, at the beginning of this academic year when I was carrying one of the banners to our involvement fair table, and they all shattered in front of me. So I think we definitely need, new banners, put these on our tables, put in our town halls. To make it look much nicer, because the old banners very much had a, 2000s look to it, so we can make it look cool and all that, like our new creativity and such.
Oh, I don't really need a microphone, not gonna lie. Also for like during some of the events where like there's a lot of different organizations showing off like their organizations, we might want to get like a little bit more like different promotion items, or maybe like the new thing for the table because it looked a little gross. This, this, yeah.
Are you referring to the table cover?
Yes.
Yeah, we should get.
Or like two, like one, like just in case something happens to the first one, and just like a cleaner version, a little, so it's not a little embarrassing sitting there.
Yeah, definitely, add that to the document. For everyone here, aside from that, there's one thing I added under each project is sponsors, so just add your name to it if you want to be involved in resolution drafting and such. We'll try to facilitate this over the next week, so they're all ready for the next GBM. So just I'll follow, resend this document, the email in the group meet. Just add your names if you'd like to help out with such. And add your ideas and add people that you want, and we can vote on the best ideas next week.
All right, with that, we will close out discussion on any budget project ideas. Please reach out to Matt and if you have any other items. Our next item for discussion is judicial branch. Representative Anthony, would you like to take it away?
Um,
Will you provide?
So just to check in, so what I attached on the email is like the vision I have, which is implemented. I base it on the orientation theme and Michelle sent. So as you see here, the Attorney General will be the only ex facto cabinet member of the branch happens. Will be the liaison between board and judicial branch. Yeah. I also met with FSL advisor Kevin Kane. I just wanted to see how like their FSL does their stuff internally. They have their own judiciary body. Each council has their own judiciary body. So that just brought the fact that maybe judicial branch should have more external stuff when it comes to FSL or stuff like that. You know, just like as a backup of Kevin Kane in here, judicial branch is there. And yeah, I just want to come forward to the body and see everything.
Any questions or comments about the judicial? Yeah.
This may be a little redundant from last time we talked about this, but I'm just curious, like, the president is elected, vice president's elected, treasurer, speaker of the house are elected internally, and then everyone else is appointed. How are the attorney general, deputy attorney general, associate justice, chief justice, deputy check, how are they all, like, how do they get their position? Who determines that?
So the president appoints them just like how Matthew appointed like admin, the cabinet. So then, with approval of the majority of the house, Matthew will appoint all these justices and attorney generals. But for like, if this is passed for next year, there will have to be a resolution for the attorney general for that person to be only appointed for this circumstance, but for the following years, you'll have to run.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions about? Yes, Mike.
I was just wondering, if you shared the document you shared, do we have it on like docs so we could like read and add like comments to it? If that's possible.
Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
Would these positions receive stipend?
Yeah, I had a meeting on it as well. Since this is gonna be a lot of internal work, administration and all that, I feel like those 5 positions, basically, I think, should be paid.
Yes, Sophia.
I'm pretty sure that that question was brought up in the last meeting, but I just want to clarify one more time on what is the like exactly what they do and like the range of their influence.
Whole point of judicial branch is, the accountability and mediators of USG. DOS, like the website, I did my research, DOS handles more actual legal stuff. The judicial branch will handle more of like the student body, and, you know, if their advisors can't handle some internal stuff, they can come to us, and, you know, they get advice some stuff that they can do within their own.
Like what kind of disputes would that be? You know, for me, it's just it's really hard to grasp on like exactly what the kind of issues that would be addressed by the judicial branch.
Like, let's just say there's an issue with like an org and their e-board, and like the president, let's just say, is not doing their job, and this is disrupting the organization, and, you know, if the advisor is not doing anything, you can go to the judicial branch and be like, hey, my president of my org is not doing anything, can you guys help us out? Like, we don't know what to do, and the judicial branch can, within the jurisdiction, if passed by the House.
Hey, thanks.
Isaiah and then Jair.
With the, judicial branch members responsible for knowing another student organization's constitution in advance, that seems like a lot to have to know that all these different orgs and USGs of the constitution.
Yeah, if it's internal, like that's what I'm trying to see what the body things, if it's internal, but if it's external, I feel like.
Jair and then Melody.
Hey, there's.
Oh, and then.
So the other, there's 4. That would be one. I'm doing the wrong thing, the US wants, database, CSI, organization, FSL, on fraternity, sorority life. But what I'm getting with this judicial branch, it would kind of be like mediator policy. So, for example, the US deals with full legality issues and Title IX. That's federal, that's state, we don't want to touch that, you know, trouble with that. CSI, FSL, that's more campus focused, of course, CSI, works, FSL. So I think there's no doubt that they're flooded with a lot of administrative issues. So with this judicial branch, we're kind of like paying them their decision. For example, some students come to us, we come up with a ruling, we do on this, we take it to CSI, we take it to FSL, AOS, and say, hey, based off of this is what we suggest. Kind of getting them.
Yeah, so in the Constitution, it states that, you know, you can ask all these opinions from the judicial, there's different opinions you can ask from the judicial branch. And, from approval of the USG advisor at that time, you know, judicial branch is based on to us. Yeah, it is.
So from what I'm gathering is that this is actually supposed to give student voice to. So that stated, there are at times, like what is the incentive for these entities to take the judicial branch seriously, or if you're gonna get it in writing, okay, this like branch is acknowledged by FSL. Or like, because like basically otherwise it's just like, oh, you're just like students, like an ego. I think that the judicial branch constitution is well written. I think it details like the roles very well. As long as people just take the time to read it. But I do think that even if the roles are clear, that it can just seem like excess work if nobody takes the position seriously. Do you have a response?
No, I mean, I'm meeting with Matthew this week and, I mean, we're gonna discuss it more because that is a problem, you know. I don't want a branch to just be like, hey, this is what we think and here it is in writing and I don't want people just be like, oh, there's just a judicial branch, what do they know? So I agree with you.
Can we in the reason?
How do you like hope to prevent like bias like within this new system? Because a lot of times like people have friends, you know, within the organizations. I feel like sometimes they would, I guess, not dispute the settlement as the way it should be or not be like neutral. So like how is like one thing that you would do to prevent that from happening?
That's where like the Attorney General comes in. That's why I want the Attorney General to be merely independent from everyone else. Because the Attorney General and the USG Advisor have the power to dismiss any justice if there's a conflict of interest. So I just feel like the power of the Attorney General being independent by itself carries a lot. And there's no conflict of interest there because they're not friends in a way, they're just working together.
Reason?
Well, I would like, let's say after like that year, living in two branch, and unless they're not graduating, would they stay in their post? Like,
After graduation.
well, like, if like that one administration ends like that 1 year, right? Would the people are like, they're sophomore, junior, could they have 1 more year, would they stay with that? They stay, like,
Oh, yeah, so there's the sentence of the justices are 2 years, just to keep it consistent, not just constant change.
Right. We have two questions. The one that, I am not against these stipends, but since it's pretty new and I don't really know how this works out, that's the executive director of the commission. I just feel like they're not really decided like on this resolution, for example, that, is it the new branch? But the second question for me is, so like, from your point of view, we are not really doing a good job at our, like, current situation, or like, what do you think we should have? Like, I want like clarification, what do we have to have in the branch? Like, do you don't feel like you don't think that we did a good job?
It's not, I don't think we're doing a bad job. We're all doing a great job, in my opinion. We're advocating for students and stuff like that. It's just, you know, internally, there's, you know, the Constitution has been updated since 2021 on the website here, and I feel like the Attorney General, you know, that's their job. They'll update the Constitution whenever stuff is being made, amended and stuff like that. I just feel like, you know, there could never be wrong with accountability. We're out of pocket, you know, the judicial branch is there and they put us in check, so. It's just, like, you can never say this stuff will never happen because it's bound to happen.
Just jump in real quick, the updated constitution is in the box, but we will make sure. No?
So one, I think you had mentioned like in terms of bias, before, I feel like that could be prevented if like, as long as the president doesn't choose any two justices from the same board. President, even if you had different boards, representing like their personal interests, the idea was to have 3 other people at the very least shoot that down, right? Or like to be like, oh my God, like they're clearly trying to play the field. So that, and then I think, to, Veronica's point, I think the general idea of like why we're here is that like, you guys live in the institution, right? Like, it's not a bad institution. but like, it's that we're here because we wanna make sure that they can get better and be like, do better than yesterday. And see, basically make sure that like, we can run as efficiently as possible. And I do think that like, sometimes the way to do that is that you might need more external than what you might have now. Or even like, even if things are working good now, because if I have a good communication now, you don't know if it's gonna be. And so I don't think that there's a problem with having other people, like, make sure it should a scenario is like that too, that you have measures, to account for that.
So are they like required not to be a part of any other school organization? Or is it just like they're?
It's just, they're unbiased, like, they'll represent the Attorney General will represent USG in all matters. But when it comes to other stuff, you know, just have to be unbiased and stuff like that.
Branch, rulings regarding things like that. And so kind of going over to values and regarding like metrics and things like that. Is the judicial branch like the way that they're going to be ruling gonna be sort of personal accounts regarding the dealings made with the executive boards of clubs and other organizations for registration and things like that, or is it gonna be sort of based on the constitution? And like things like that. And then following those rulings, like if there's a ruling made to maybe remove an officer, how is that going to be handled? And regarding like USG specifically, all of our offices are elected, right? Representatives, and president. So if there are elected, representatives on these executive boards, are there going to be like special elections to replace those positions? To like ensure the functioning of those women? I know that was. Sorry.
I'll try and remember these questions, but, so yeah, it's the election one, so basically, so let's just say if Matthew appoints 3 people, the 3 justices, the justices will choose the chief justice, because I feel like that's more fair, in my opinion. Yeah, that's the only question I remember, I'm so sorry.
Sorry, it was a little long. Handling of you. So if you made a ruling to, let's say, like remove or maybe like sort of punish on an executive officer of an organization, is that handled by CSI? Like, do they remove the officer from like campus connection, or like, and then some of those officials, right, are elected. So like I know in some other student organizations they're elected, but also on USG, like our representatives are elected. So if they're removed or the ruling is made for them to be removed, will there be special elections held?
So yeah, so with that, yeah, that's a tough one, because, yeah, I gotta think about that real quick.
It's what?
I think it's better now, right? So, I think the aim of the new branch is understandable, but at the same time, and for sure, we all want to be better every year. But about checking it or how it goes, how can we ensure that the new branch feel be good at, their job that they're checking. So it will cause every year, like the other brands for how the other ones doing good or not.
Yeah, to answer your question, it'll be up to the body, the reps going in, that who appoints them, but it's the reps who going in, so if you think some judges are not gonna do their job, it's up, like, these people are also subject to impeachment, stuff like that, so, that's where checks and balances come in, because if you think they're not doing their job, back then.
It seems to be questions about. So there's things that I can answer. But. CSI at the center level. Role, conditions, being a student, accountability. For people, by the process, policy that has been approved by. So, what we are doing as a goal is to, the hearing board, the hearings, and so that students have a chance that are holding students accountable to the specific policy that's been voted on by policy committee and so, I just want to verify that. If it comes in, we're gonna see CSI still have more than. So there are other questions. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments?
Internal part would be very easy. But the external part, that's gonna be more challenging. Based on what are you holding accountable for, to your question, what authority does USG or CSI or FSL have to remove somebody? Because currently, that's nothing that CSI does. So I just want to clarify that. Internal will be very easy for USG, external will be like that.
Thank you, Fred, and thank you, Anthony, for introducing this idea. It's great work. Looking at the organizational chart, I'm realizing things here could become very bureaucratic. Things are already extremely bureaucratic here, but also could be a huge liability for the external aspects to this new judicial branch idea. Because again, my point is, how can we ensure that these justices are not biased? We're asking for undergraduate students with at the very least 2 semesters worth of USG experience, so they really only need 1 year to become a justice. Judges in real life, they need many years even before they can be a judge. I believe many get their seats after decades of experience. So how can we ensure that these justices are equipped with the resources, the support, the training to deal with these type of cases? And in addition, there's 300 orgs within student government, or not student government, within our campus. Now, I'm sure each and every one of them deals with problems. I feel like it'd be a huge liability for our student government to say, hey, we can help you guys fix this. And let's say the judicial branch goes a different way with this a specific case or hearing, they're probably just gonna end up going to the dean of students or CSI about, well, why is the student government, making this decision over us? I think, something like this would require, a referendum from our student leaders to see if they would even accept judicial branch to, kind of oversee, their issues, concerns. And, I just feel like, it could be very hard to manage and to choose the right justices. My way to, overcome this, again, is to implement, just grants that gives, to undergraduate, to grad students, to law students, and that way provides, some, at least some knowledge of how to deal with hearings and cases, because, I'm sure everyone here, probably before joining student government, probably has never done a legal case or deal with such massive problems that organizations might face. So, that's my worry, with all of this. And I think it needs, more time to polish out. And again, with this, it's not just our internal, bylaws and constitution that we need to change. We also need to, speak with, offices in the dean of students, CSI, FSL, even the EPC about this, and, gauging how we can, share these powers, because again, we're asking for a lot of it, and, really before the semester ends.
Response to that, I like the idea of adding a referendum to have student voice and insight on this. I think it's important, that I do think, especially for the external part, it can a little more fleshing out. However, I don't think that because change is hard, change should not be. I think that not only is it a lot of our first time interacting with organizational issues of this, both because we're in student government, but I think it comes with going to college. I think that college is one of the first experiences that most young people get at engaging with government, bureaucracy, and everything pretty much on an institutional and systemic level at a microscopic scope. So I don't think that that necessarily disqualifies the idea completely. I also think that the same argument that could be used to say that these justices might not be equipped or qualified with the position can be argued for each year, as well as president, vice president, or speaker. I think most of us are young folks, most people who go to college are between the ages of 20 and like 25. Don't really know anything from anything, we're all learning. But I don't think that that necessarily means that nobody can do this job. I just think that it will require, like you said, some more thought in terms of what this process really looks like. I do agree with you that I think to try to get it done before the end of the semester might be short. But I don't think that it's bad.
Just to quickly respond to that, I feel like it's a little bit different, in our positions as president, chairs, even representatives, we're dealing with, advocacy, things that we can, look at, improvements on our campus and with our experience, and we work with administration who have, the knowledge to enact it, and also, oftentimes we work a lot with, third, party organizations that, have a lot of resources to provide to, make us successful. This would be dealing with your student opinion. And our mission here in Singo is to advocate for student needs. I feel like this could conflict with that. Let's just say several students are unhappy with how the judicial branch does its thing. It could loosen their trust with us as a whole organization, because they're thinking this is just government getting in the way of their operations, or they might be happy with it, with specific case results. And so, I mean, these are just questions that we need to consider.
I mean, to respond to that though, the council president from but the justices are chosen by the president. So they're chosen by the president. I would hope that the president will have enough capacity to choose wisely. I think that how they carry out their position on, it's not that they consider people. I think Representative Anthony and Representative Sam also tried to leave in at least some sort of checks and balances. Yeah. So I absolutely agree that, you know, we can see wrong in any system that runs. That includes student government, that includes education, that includes the way our government functions as a whole. So I think more so, moreover, this should be a question of what can we do to fix it? What can we do to cover up holes? It should be, I think, solution oriented rather than hey, this is what's wrong, but I don't have any idea on how to fix it.
In the interest of time, I'm going to limit to a couple more comments. Go ahead.
Also, I'm concerned about why was you these, official positions, there's like the pilot line in the US, how we play them. Although I think it's easier to approach a student to student, concern and going to the administrator, who don't think that it would be harder to understand the problem, it's like an internal issue, that advice for this. Also, like I said, what is the mention before is not that big change, not that big and you know, it's mentioned before that we have to go to the right reform, they say to those who concerns about this. Members of organization over give us values and they hold more for different, so it's just great that this so thank you.
In the interest of time, I'm going to have to cut off discussion, but the floor at. We'll now move on to the next item of discussion, which is ability. Please take it away.
So this was just like an idea. Sorry. So basically, I know that like logistically this might be really hard to do, but it's worth trying. And I'm just gonna read out my notes. So I said that I thought it would be very helpful for students, especially middle class and low income students, if teachers were incentivized to provide PDFs of chapters instead of constantly making students purchase expensive textbooks, especially when half of the book is not even being utilized, because being a junior now, like I've noticed that happens a lot. The resolution could state that if at least half of the book is not being utilized and it costs like X amount of dollars, let's say it's $80 or $60, then professors are required to provide an electronic PDF of those specific chapters. Because like just this year, I had to buy like 7 books just for one class. And a lot of the books I only had to read like 1 to 3 or 1 to 4 chapters, which is like a waste of money. And I know that like realistically, this might be like hard to like implement a policy because this is like within the school and like the Illinois system, but I wanted like some feedback or some like, just like anything.
Yeah, firstly, well, thank you so much for introducing this item for discussion. Textbook affordability is something I'm very passionate about. It's something that Representative Juan and I are working on. So if you're interested in helping us out, we're happy to bring you onto the team and show you what we have going on. Things have kind of slowed down now that we're ending end of the semester, but you know, textbook affordability is very important. You have 2 things to that. One, there is a law in Illinois that requires public institutions to make sure that colleges do their best to make sure that copyright does not get infringed. So I feel like We have to make sure we navigate with that. But I like the idea of providing PDFs and such. I think that correlates very well with what we're trying to do with creating more access to open education textbooks. So if you're interested in working with Representative Warren on that, we can get something going.
Yeah, thank you.
So I think I had mentioned this a couple GBMs back, I don't know, sometime this school year. And I think President Matthew mentioned that he will follow up on it. Concerning transparency from professors on even the course catalog on what materials are needed and expenses for those materials. So that students can be aware when they sign up for those classes of the expected costs that they will incur.
Yeah, that was something we did follow up with Rob Dixon about, and actually found again another Illinois law enacted is that public institutions are supposed to have that information released to students before they register for courses. The only problem is it's very hard for classes and courses, professors to have that information ready before registration. Something to do with the timeline of things, especially in the spring semester. It can be very difficult. A whole semester between the spring semester and the fall semester. We can definitely work towards making sure that's properly followed every semester. But that'll take a lot of talks with the faculty senate, which they're always ready to put up fine negotiations on why that should be done.
But as a follow-up, could it not just be implemented annually? Because typically professors have some kind of idea of whether or not they're going to teach a course in the spring. I feel like I would rather have that information up, even if they end up not teaching that course, than not knowing it all.
Sophia?
My question was to pretty much everyone. Also regarding the textbook affordability, I was thinking maybe we can make an event where we can donate textbooks that we're no longer using. I have some of the textbooks, especially for lower classes, because I'm a freshman, that I'm not using and I have purchased. I know a lot of people will try to resell them, but I think, the initiative to donate to people who are not able to afford them would be nice. If you guys have any textbooks overall that you're not using or just dislike.
Honestly.
I feel for the two public places for the biology equipment. So maybe, asking if other departments do something similar. I don't know, kind of giant kind of a little smaller. And for engineering and the water, there's a lot of classes that always work. So I feel like asking professors might be because both departments have a website. Asking them a solution on the website might be a good point.
You just talk about this limited to a couple more comments.
I think actually that's a great idea to post something on each department website. We can include that in maybe a package of things that we can address in terms of textbook affordability. I think first of all, we should start with Gen Ed's getting those to become affordable and free to students. And to reply to Representative Sophia's comment. So I think the bookstore does at the time before it was bought out by a third-party, company, it did allow students to, sell their textbooks before a very small rate. And something that we did, last, fall semesters, we created a program, it's called the USG Reusable Textbook Program. For those in the Student Success Committee might, remember that from last year, basically, we provide up to 60% compensation for, physical textbooks if they're, returned back. I think we need to follow up with the bookstore to see if they still offer this program. If they do, we should definitely promote that before the year ends, because usually it opens up in a week before, 2 weeks before finals. So yeah, that's, again, we're going to have to check it.
Okay.
Any final comments? If not, we'll move on to the next order of business, which is reports. We have the report of the advisory.
Good evening, everyone. My understanding, PC is finishing up, any compliance, they should have the official certification of this week. And the last thing or, good evening, folks. USG Human, my name is Eric Lavoy. I use he, them pronouns primarily. And so I know I see a few faces that I know, but for majority of humans, I don't know. I don't have much to say right now. I am occupying a space where I'm observing. I think observation is important. So I am looking forward to meeting each of you individually, and seeing what next year looks like for us, how we can move this body forward. So I'm all ears at this moment. So I'm also on my sixth cup of coffee. Okay. But by next fall, I'll get used to it. So cool. Nice to meet you all.
Please, comments regarding the report of the advisor? If not, then the report will be filed, the report of students.
No report this week. We'll know back. Thursday, so looking forward to meeting all the recipients and honoring them.
Thank you. We will now move on to the next order of business, which is officer reports. Thank you. Please have the report.
Thank you. So, we're in our last GBM, last few GBMs now. There's a lot of projects that we need to roll over, throughout the summer and into the next year. So if you've been working on the, a project with me, let's set up a meeting, to, just wrap things up. We're switching gears. I think we should be switching gears to, wrap up everything that we've done so far this year and prepare for the next year. So, what I'll do is offer everyone scheduling link where you can just straight up schedule a meeting with me. Be 30 minutes, it could be an hour. Just let me know if you'd like to meet in person or virtually. But I'll be saying that to the group me and to everyone via email. So please send me schedule a meeting with me if we have some unresolved project this to be wrapped up. Earlier we had the budget allocation discussion, and we'll also this one I think we'll also talk about the reserve fund plan next GBM. This is something we'll look over in the course of the summer and work with the Office of the Dean of Students to finalize this plan and figure out how we can use this reserve funds and what's the protocols behind it. But Still trying to, set up these meetings with the vice chancellor for student affairs and the provost. Hopefully we can get these, this week or next week by you, Monday.
Okay, if you have any questions, please reach out to Matthew directly and the report the president. Next, we will send the report to the vice president.
Hey guys, so keeps following up with Vice Chancellor Flores on finding a meeting time to discuss things working on, talking with Assistant Vice Chancellor Raphael on some plans that he says he has based on the ACHA recommendations that some members from USG were giving during a meeting a couple of weeks back. So in communication about that, Matt mentioned some of the meetings we're trying to set up. One of my friends from a student senate at Boston University, they passed a survivor's bill of rights. So I'm just been reading over that legislation for the past week or so, hoping to then have some conversations with Chairman Crony and other permanent administrators on how our university can look at some of the things they are advocating for. If you want to be involved in that, just let me know, because it is a pretty lengthy piece of legislation. Also about mandated reporters, so I'm interested in that. And then Representative Saab, Representative Nor, and I are trying to meet with chaplains in this week to talk about some of the issues and updates we've been working on. You don't have any questions.
Thank you. If you have any questions, please reach out to Mike directly and the report to vice president. Next, we have the report to treasurer.
Hello, everyone. Less than a month of school left. Come on, let's finish strong. So, to start off, the Treasury Committee is updating the budget, discussing ways for USG to utilize the remaining funds. We had the conversation today, so stay tuned. Please add your names to anything on that list that you find interesting, that you want to be a part of. I highly encourage it. Next, Deputy Treasurer Matthew Cavallis has been fulfilling all catering orders, reviewing all recently passed initiatives, and ensuring that all recent expenditures are accounted for. And I really want to thank you, Matthew. You've been doing a lot of great work. As always, been coordinating with the Dean of Students Office, submitting RFFs, and planning for upcoming USG endeavors. All items, as I've said, will be delivered to the Dean of Students Office in the Student Services Building. And additionally, I attended last week's e-board meeting, but please reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns.
Thank you. If you have any questions, please reach out to Quinn and the report. Next, we have the speaker. Still searching for a nominee for the Student Mental Health Task Force, so if you haven't reached out already, please do so. The Mental Health Town Hall will be Monday, April 17th. At 5, it's mandatory for reps to attend. They understand. Please reach out to Danya, the USG plaque. We introduced resolution today. I will be sending out a mock-up of what it looks like, including everyone's names. Please be sure to check your spelling, and let me know for name that's different from what it is. Super important, next week will be our internal elections for treasurers. Process a little. Each individual must receive a nomination. Be considered. Any USG member nominates. Nominees must then accept or decline the nomination. Once we have the candidates present, we will have a speech for those who accept the nomination. It will be no longer than 2 minutes on why they should be elected for the position. There will be discussion. The nominating members will be given when all this happens. And finally, there will be an anonymous vote for the positions. Please let me know if you have any questions regarding this. I'm kind of skipping through it because we are running short on time. Please reach out to me if you have any questions and the report of the speaker. Next, we have the report of the chiefs.
Yes, so my report is very long, so I will not read all of it. I'll just say that there was an executive board meeting on Friday, and then I had director meeting last week. So enumerated in my report is some blurbs. So Student Success Committee had a successful Money Matters event. Upcoming is the Popcorn and Professions event on April 19th, 12 to 1, and then Career Cutouts is April 24th. And then there was a successful iftar event last Wednesday. LAC is finalizing dates for freedom of speech and SNAP. The IC has the mental health and the event coming up. Congratulations to Roxy who worked hard on clarifying the non-English language on poster things. Instead, now it's that you can have that in English as long as there's translation. Representative Lawrence event is on Wednesday, Lawrence event, so congratulations on that. Food pantry was a success. Working on some waste areas, so thank you for seeing that. And then THC is working on some posts. And the website is waiting approval.
Awesome. Questions, please reach out to Abby directly, and the report of the chief of staff. Next, we have the report of the secretary. She's out here, so I'll be- she's still waiting to hear updates from transportation services for shuttle buses for the gala at 1 p.m. Catered by design for the theater proposal. She's finalizing preparations to send them to the treasury committee. And as a committee, they will be, or the gala committee. They're also solidifying the email template to send out to their entities. These forward for any student board sprouts, et cetera, that go out with us at all this week, this year. Questions, please reach out to Dania directly and the report of this file. Next, we have the report of the diversity.
Everybody, we have the tea event coming up on April 13th, so that's this Thursday, 11 to 2 p.m. in Terrace. If you can help out, or even just like stop by the table, it'll just be in Terrace. And then the mental health component is next Monday, 3 to 5 p.m. We confirmed the channel is here, so that's going to be Vice Chancellor Javier Gonzalez, and then we're going to follow Vice President Sticks, Vice Chancellor Dixon, and Dr. Pearson. And we'll be addressing topics of mental health, and let us know if you have any questions. And then the whole week is being done by speaking please next week. Try to stop by any of the events, and it's really exciting and really good events with these guys. An exciting update from the state that Abby kind of talked about, but I kind of put an image of the updated policy in my report and the person that kind of contacted me about that. But basically, previously, it wasn't really clear the restrictions and guidelines on the policy regarding posters and teen centers. And they like took down posters without clarification on why they were taking them down. So it was really exciting to have this update clarified regarding languages in this. And then I met with Representative Yash regarding the engineering student advisory board following on Director Mercado's work earlier this year. And we're thinking to introduce something like that in LAS. And I'm working with placing it. And something to just highlight, the public comment on all was held today. And there were a couple of things that we kind of talked about after this we're going to hall, like data policy, computer issues, safety issues, health, region sign funding, stance on Israel/Palestine, and quantum sending a full report summarizing all the things talked about at the public comment.
And congrats, Hannah, for holding a great event. Please reach out to Monica directly if you have any questions and the report that we're seeing including show file. Next, we have the report from the city administrator.
One short report, basically, three things. Reached out to Devin, the Director Monster, for an update regarding the SNAP workshop. Representative from the Leadership Operate all of this next fall. Regardless, if anyone is still interested in applying benefits, let me know. I can send you a link to work with one center to get you up right. I already mentioned that on all happening next Monday, so definitely be there. Finalizing the panelists, working through questions, and still.
Please reach out to Sherry directly if you have any questions and the report of the legislative administration file. Next, we have the report of the public affairs.
This week I coordinated with graphic designer Zaina and we posted a lot of events that have been happening and there's also a lot coming up. So just reach out to me because I do tend to forget sometimes since there's so many things to post. We also had our post your thought tabling event today, and it was a great success. A lot of people had a lot to share on campus safety and mental health and academic success. So I reached out to both the commissioners and let them know on what students have said so far. But if you would also like to know, please reach out to me. We had our bi-weekly committee meeting where we talked about the April newsletter. We debriefed about the event with Commissioner Felix and Commissioner Michelle. And as for the USG website, I know we've been saying we're going to be launching it for quite some time now, but we just submit the request in to get it approved. So we're hoping that it's launched this Friday if approved. Additionally, please come to our meetings if you have anything to add on how we can better promote USG or outreach to students. And our meetings are open to anyone, and we would love to hear your ideas.
Thank you. Please reach out to me directly if you have any questions and the report. Next, we have the report of success chair. It's not your song, you have to click. Community speaks on call today, great job, Juana. And popcorn meeting and event will be on April 19th, 12 PM. In which there will be roundtable for admin from all offices and questions that students have while they meet and each report. If you have any questions, please reach out to Monica directly and the report of the success chair. Next, we have the report of campus.
Hello, okay. So, I have the results for the USG Week of Giving. Thank you all who participated. The total is 1,262 items that we were able to collect. So great work to everyone in the campus life committee. Thank you for putting that all together. Thank you for everybody who played a really big role. Thank you, Veronica, for counting all those cans of green beans in the office. The winner is the Interfraternity Council. They'll be receiving a pumpy dinner soon. We have some other stuff that's coming up. So we have our bystander intervention workshop that'll be happening in about 2 weeks. And then David, Representative David, has been working on the project Oasis, finding ways to improve the conditions of certain areas that are meant for students. So a lot of study areas and different buildings that are neglected essentially. Representative Veronica was working on movie night, so it was a pretty big success. And then the pilot program for the night ride, for all of you who have forgotten, the night ride pilot program is going to start April 17th, starting at 10 PM all the way until 7 AM. Yeah, so that will be the new hours, so that'll be going until June. So if you know anybody who uses it or you yourself use it, make sure you're using it between that 10 to 11 time period, just so they don't take it away. It's a really short time period, so hopefully we'll get that extended. Kind of skimming through it. Spark is also happening next year. Representative Sam Lynn is working on that committee. So if you have any recommendations for artists, emails Representative Sam Lynn, right there. It'll be September 30th. And then I'll allocate the rest of the time to Commissioner Felix to kind of talk about campus safety.
Yeah, I'll keep it brief since I'm running out of time, but for the master update, you can refer back to the chat. For the 4 different things we're talking about, escape, evade, engage, and practice measures still in action. For night ride, yeah, we're looking to sit down with John Coronado hopefully in the near future, me and Veronica, so we can speak on night ride and being able to extend that pilot through July. It's gonna be summer, so it's kind of iffy in regard to like the results of wanting. That's that, and also we're also looking to speaking with campus housing to speak on the training the RAs get in regards to domestic violence if they receive a de-escalation. So I'm waiting on that email as well. But that's it for the update on campus safety commission.
Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please reach out to Director Felix or Commissioner Felix. And the report of safety, campus life and campus safety committee commission will be filed. We'll now move on to the next order of business, which is announcements. Are there any announcements? Yes, Josh? Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah, so I'm working on meeting you guys with something right now. Yeah, I met with my committee last week, and I know there's an issue about first aid on the campus. Some people brought up that, let's, for example, you get a paper cut or have a small, injury. You don't need a nurse, you need like some sort of first aid, like a Band-Aid or all that. And I'm trying to get that started actually for next semester. I'll give you guys, ideas and thoughts. But I'm thinking, I think like either at the first aid station, just have a bunch of Band-Aids, quick supplies, and
That's
stuff,
it.
or just hand them out. I'm kind of debating between views too. If you guys think ideas.
That's good.
Please reach out to Yash if you have any thoughts.
Oh yeah, Laura, can contact me on the group media. You guys know.
Just explain his idea.
Very quickly, there has been a lot of food waste in the office. We have food here and we have a lot of events upcoming, so please, visit the office to, eat any food that's there. Came to my great disappointment that we had to throw away 2 very good pizzas. I still believe it's so good. So please, be sure to take leftovers, thank you.
I knew it was that.
See you later.
Are there any final announcements?
No.
Oh, yes.
If not, we'll move on to the next order of business, which is adjournment. Is there a motion?
I'm motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Is there
I second.
the meeting is now adjourned.